So what these people know, these elite people that want to remain in control, is that if they can control the minds of millions or billions of people, then they control the energy. But what's happening is because of the internet, they're losing that ability to get away with as much. On this episode, I'm going to get a little bit esoteric with you. I'm going to be sharing with you 5 reasons the elites' plan to keep the masses in control will not come to fruition, signs it will come to fruition, and what I think and how I think some things will play out over the next couple years. But in general, it's also to show you that I don't think things are as fearful as it looks. Yes, it looks pretty crazy. You've got the media that is owned and controlled and always, has a counter that's showing this and having you increase your belief and being in more fear, which suppresses the immune system anyways. And things are becoming very, very obvious though. And, when I talk about the elite, by the way, what am I talking about? There are people on the planet that understand the energy dynamics on the planet. And what they do is they try to keep the public into a certain level of consciousness, into a very reactive state. Because when people are in a reactive state, they're much easier to control. And when you control the people, you can then control the resources, and they get a high off that power. Now, also, I'll talk about this in the episode. This will sound pretty esoteric, but I believe that a lot of these, it's literally like almost an organization where they have like these beliefs and dark rituals and things that I know sound kind of out there, but there's whistleblowers that have talked about this. There's people that have escaped these kind of energy dynamics that have talked about this. And they have influences as well, I believe, of different things that cause them to kind of remain in this level of control. I think that when the planet has a certain vibration, maybe even a lower vibration, there is more ability to control things. So one of the things they do is they have these dark rituals they do that are very dark things that keep a certain level of consciousness on the planet. And then as they keep the population dumbed down, and one of the ways they do this is specifically through information. If they can control your belief system, they can control so they can control the belief system of the public. They can then control the energy dynamics. And that's what they've always known. So through Hollywood media movies, there's many influences there. Through the news, it's all owned by a few major corporations. And the intention there is the more that the belief system is formed and controlled, the more that we are more likely to give away our power and to allow these things to happen. A lot of us are just going with the flow. We could decide at any moment that this is kind of ridiculous or very ridiculous and decide not to go with it, but we allow it to because of we've been primed through going to school and being obedient and these different kind of like deep level programming that's happened for a big part of our life. But this is a time on the planet of us waking up to more of who we are and us realizing who we really meant to be in this life. So I get kind of esoteric in this video. There's a lot of energy in this video / podcast. For those of you that don't know, this is also going to be on my main YouTube channel. So I'm going to be posting this on my channel in the video format. And I think I might just start doing that, putting the video formats on the YouTube channel. Plus, it's easy to download and listen to on iTunes and Spotify as well, where it's completely free. And I have other episodes on the elite and the cabal and stuff like that. But in general, that's what we're going to be talking about in this episode. It was a fun episode. I've already recorded it, and this is the intro for it. One thing I want to talk about before I get into it is something I haven't talked a lot about before. And even though you guys have heard me talk about what I do for energy, you've heard me talk about Organifi Green, heard me talk about the protein, there's one thing that I haven't talked a lot about that I just kind of want to make you guys aware of, and that is something called the Organifi Red Juice. This is something that has superfood berry blend of premium organic superfoods with potent adaptogen. It's like mushrooms and stuff. You guys know I love my mushrooms, and it's something that I use once again for energy. It is something that has something called cordyceps in it. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but I've heard of it. It has to do with it's medicinal mushrooms with incredibly strong adaptogenic qualities. In 1993, the Chinese women's Olympic track team was accused of being on steroids for their incredible performance. Turns out they weren't on steroids. They were using these cordyceps. And guess what? These cordyceps are inside Organifi Red Juice. Organifi Red Juice is a powdered substance that what you do It's completely, you just take a scoop of it, you add it to water, you shake it up, and you drink it. You don't need a juicer. You don't need anything else. It's as simple as getting a scoop, putting it into water, and drinking it. And this is something that I use when I want energy. It's something that gives me sustained energy. There's also reishi mushroom, an 8-to-1 extract known as the queen of mushrooms. It's a powerful adaptogen that increases energy. It's very grounding us too. If you want to feel grounded, it's something to do. And it also, think of color therapy, right? It's red juice, red related to groundedness. There's beets in it, which is a root, and it's something that really helps me to feel grounded and also have high energy. So it's something that I use as well throughout the midday that for like an energy pick-me-up. As many of you know, I don't drink coffee. I don't do caffeine at all. I don't do green tea, but I use Organifi juice, and Organifi red juice is one that I haven't talked a lot about, but I've been loving it as of recently. It's almost like it kind of got overshadowed by Organifi green juice, which is also great, but it makes a huge difference. It's less than $3 a day to use, and it is so powerful for using for your energy, remaining in a high vibe, and it has a whole bunch of antioxidants as well. And it being organic is very important, and low sugar is very important as well. That's why I trust that of Organifi. And if you go to Organifi.com/Aaron15, that's Organifi, ORGANIFI.com / I forget, but the / Aaron, AARON 1515, and you use that code at checkout, you get 15% off any Organifi product. And I highly recommend and wanted to highlight this episode, Organifi red juice, which is a game changer for energy, for antioxidants, for those cordyceps. And I'm a huge fan. And anyways, I wanted to share with that. It's also a way of you supporting the podcast as well. Getting this juice that's going to help you anyways, helps support the podcast and helps me to keep things going here, to keep myself doing 2 episodes a week. So other than that, you go to Organifi.com/Aaron15, check it out, and I will talk to you guys soon in a second because we're getting into this episode. Talk to you in a sec. In between eating your food, make sure you wear your masks, okay? Wear your masks just in case that in between taking bites of food, you don't want anything to happen. So this, you see how ridiculous a lot of this sounds, by the way, too? When we talk about the elite, we talk about the control factions of the intention that the agenda is to keep people in, controlled, to keep people in lower states of consciousness. It's becoming too obvious. It's becoming way obvious. And when they say things, like a lot of these politicians, by the way, that are saying things like, oh, you got to wear this, you got to do this. And then they're found, like there's one guy, I don't remember if he was the mayor of I think he may have actually been the mayor of California, making these big public service announcements and talking about how serious we're taking this whole wearing the thing. And then what happens is he talks about how he went to the French Laundry, which is like a restaurant, like a high-end restaurant. And while he was there, he's like, oh, we wore a mask. We sat outside and all this stuff. And then there were pictures that other people took of him the day before where he was actually without a mask, eating food in the middle of the French Laundry. So it's like, okay, so you already lied about it, right? But the interesting part of this is that a lot of these people that are saying, you must do this, you must do that, they don't actually even believe it. If they did believe it, they would do it. Why don't they do it? Because they don't want to. Why don't they want to? Because they probably have, or they probably know that it is not that imperative, but it is very imperative to tell other people what to do. And I think a lot of people are waking up right now and just realizing, one, they don't want to be talked to like they're little kids. Wait, do this, do that. We take this very seriously. And it's becoming more and more obvious that this is just a show. This is just a way of people. Like, it's obvious they're trying to play the public. They're trying to play the people. They're trying to play them like little fiddles. But guess what? People be waking up. So this whole control faction thing, it's becoming way too obvious. And the beginning of the year, it's like, oh, now you could do this. Okay, now go back to your houses. And then now towards the end of the year, it's like, oh, everything's ramping up. Oh my God, everybody go back inside your house. Oh my goodness. And everyone's just like, are we serious? Like, you know how many people I've known, by the way, that, okay, and first off, let me say this. okay? Because I know I understand that I have like a platform and people sometimes hear this and it triggers people. But I understand that there are people that were harmed from this thing that has happened. I'm not only talking about this thing that happened at the beginning of the year. I'm talking about much more than just that. I'm talking about just the energy dynamics that have been happening for a very long period of time that keep people into a low level of consciousness because the media projects a level of fear that then keeps people in survival mode, which has them looking to authority so that what they do is they don't, really claim their own power. They're much more likely to give it away. I'm talking more about that. The thing that happened at the beginning of the year, I understand that some people were really affected by it. I understand that some people that follow me are nurses or they work inside the medical field and they've seen serious things happen. I'm not saying that that's not happening. What I'm saying is that it's very much being exaggerated, that there were, what did I read? There were more people in Japan that committed suicide last year than people that died from this thing that we're, working through right now all of this year. But yet that doesn't really make the news at all, or is even something we're talking about on a daily basis. But this other thing, you go to the news, there's a counter that's going up, and the counter that's going up is putting people in more and more fear. Now, here's the thing. I've met a lot of people that have had positive tests for that. But then they had almost zero side effects at all from it. They didn't even know they had it. But the tests are, you want to know something interesting as well? There are people that my dad's a firefighter, right? Fire investigator. He knows people that had to go get tested for it. They go get tested for it. They get an email the next day that says that they tested positive. They never even went in to take the test. There were some people that did not make the test, yet they tested positive. The same thing with some of the voter stuff that's happening. My sister, I'm just pointing these little red flags out there, okay? Just to show the little puppet show and the little funny things that are going on in the world. My sister, she went to go vote. She's 18, 19 years old. She's 19 years old, right? Yeah. I forget what part of the year we're in. She goes to vote. She gets the mail-in ballot. They spelt her name wrong. Instead of Doughty, it was like Doggy or something, or Gowdy. It was Gowdy with a G. She then goes in somewhere and says, hey, they spelt my name wrong. Can I put in my vote? They said, yeah, that's fine. They changed their name. They changed her name on this thing that she'd voted there. She could have still sent in the old ballot and her vote would have counted twice. Isn't that interesting? That it's not really checked like that? All I'm saying is that there's definitely margin for error for a lot of these things, and that maybe there's some agenda for things to look a certain way, because when things look a certain way, people more likely to give away their power. People more likely to believe. It's funny, I went to the Thanksgiving, and I went to my dad's house, my grandma, for example. She's like super media watch person. She loves the news. She watches it a lot. And even her, we're talking about some pretty interesting things. She's like, well, I don't know who started this. And she's like, I feel like this was started, and I'm like, what? Are you saying this? Like, regular people be waking up. They questioning reality because there's too many holes in the boat. It's like, water's coming here, water's coming here, water's coming here. And the energy dynamic of what we're going to see going into 2021, I believe, I'm not saying this for fear, by the way, I believe deep down there's going to be a very positive outcome of the things that are going to be happening in the world. It's going to look negative for a while, though. That's what I believe will happen. It'll look negative, but it's positive. The dark's agenda, when we say dark, the agenda of the elite is to keep people in fear and to keep people in a form of survival mode. What they are going to be doing these next year or two, or few years, is they're going to be like the last few cards up their sleeve. They're going to be like machine gunning them out, trying to like retain power. But the energy that's here on the planet now does not sustain that type of energy, that manipulative type energy. And not only that, there's too much almost awareness now that people just see right through it. People can feel what's authentic, what's not authentic. And I don't think a lot of people would argue that the news is 99.9% negative, but also there's some agenda there. Once you find out that the media corporations are owned by mainly the same big corporations, it's kind of obvious that there's some other thing going on.